Taka is a student with the ability to see ghosts. Today, on the way home from school, he was followed by a demon. When he was almost dead, his accomplices appeared. The skinny demon suggested to the one-eyed demon that they should cut their tongues, because if their names were called out, it would be very dangerous. This gave Taka a chance to resist, defeat the one-eyed demon, and then run towards the temple. Because he was too busy running, he stepped on the fence that was holding a monster in the temple. After a puff of smoke, the monster rushed towards Taka. That monster turned out to be a cat and even knew it. Said he called Taka Ziko, the name of his deceased grandmother. It turns out that Taka's grandmother also saw ghosts in the past, even challenging her to a duel and making friends. The cat asked him about something called the friend book, but before Taka could answer, it disappeared. When he gets home, Taka finds the notebook he mentioned earlier. Before he knew what happened, the cat rushed from behind and attacked Taka. Luckily, he was able to get out of the way in time, causing the cat to get stuck in the cabinet door. It turns out that the book records the names of the demons that Taka's grandmother exterminated. As long as she holds the thing in her hand, she will have the right to command it. The cat offers to become Taka's protector because many demons will come to the notebook's owner to steal it. At that moment, Taka heard someone calling. When I went downstairs, I discovered that person was the skinny demon from before. The demon comes to attack Taka. Another appearance from nowhere is the one-eyed demon. They joined forces to chase him into the forest. Luckily, a cat told him to hide in the bushes. It entices Taka to give him the notebook so he won't be chased anymore, but Taka refuses to give the notebook. Enraged, the cat revealed its true form as a giant beast and pinned him to the ground, wanting to use force to rob him. Taka counterattacked with a punch to the face, forcing the beast to release him. When both parties calmed down, Taka explained that it was an important relic she left behind. Keeping the notebook is keeping the only connection with her. Taka wants to return the names of the monsters in the notebook. Even though he knows it's very dangerous, he still wants to complete what she left unfinished and hopes for the cat's help. The cat agreed on the condition that if he died, the right to keep it would belong to him and show Taka how to use it. While it held the skinny demon back, he lured the one-eyed demon to another place. Run and recite the spell until you find the demon's name in the book. Tear the paper out, then put the paper in your mouth, clench your fists and concentrate. The name will return to the monster. In this way, he successfully returned the name to the one-eyed demon and saw the memories within it. It turns out that while hungry and thirsty, the one-eyed demon met Reiko when she was a student and accepted her challenge. Even though she won and took the demon's name, Reiko still treated it gently and promised to meet it again one day. This moved the one-eyed devil. That's waiting for the day the female student who calls her name appears next to her. But no matter how long he waited, nothing made him feel lonely and hopeless in getting his name back. At the last moment before disappearing, Taka called out the demon's name and sincerely thanked him. Taka, who just transferred schools and has the ability to see ghosts, today received an invitation from friends who wanted to hold a bravery contest at an abandoned school. While filling out the application form, Taka continuously stared at the class president. But in reality, behind her is a giant demon. It chased Taka, causing him to run away from the school. Just when he thought he had escaped it, the demon suddenly appeared before him and called Taka by his deceased grandmother's name. It asks you to give me your personal notebook. At this moment, Taka's cat rushed from nowhere. His true form appears as a giant beast, scaring the demon away. The notebook has the power to control the demons inside. So Taka is always followed by a monster who wants to take over the notebook. Taka's family knew absolutely nothing about the notebook or about him seeing ghosts. He lives with his kind aunt and uncle. While eating, the young man suddenly discovered that the tiny tooth marks on the meat belonged to a small man wearing a strange mask. Taka was startled and choked on his rice. He came to find Taka in the hope of regaining his good name. He quickly found his name in the book. But strangely, his name was attached to another piece of paper. No matter how hard he tried to remove it, he couldn't separate it. On the contrary, it made the little old man suffer and writhe. The next morning, Taka went to the god's residence to take a look. On the way, he met an old woman who dropped her bag of fruit. Taka quickly picked it up to help and was rewarded with a peach. Having finished speaking, the old woman left without knowing that Taka was looking at her with sad eyes. It turns out he can see people's positive energy, and that old lady was close to heaven. Arriving at the temple, Taka was told his name. It turns out that in the past, because of a long drought, villagers prayed day and night in front of the temple. The next day it rained, so from then on they worshipped the god. He said that his size used to be very large, but because the people no longer worshipped him, he is now just a tiny old man. At least it still looks that way, thanks to someone named Hannah, who was also the old woman who was the only one who still worships the old man. Faced with his situation, Taka wanted to return the mixed name to free both of them but could not know who the other demon was. Once, the god peeked at the notebook and knew and offered to redraw the monster's face. He called it the dark spirit that had the ability to move through the darkness of things. The three decided to search according to the sketch, but many days passed without results. Today Taka saw an old woman praying at the temple. She tells him that she has been worshipping God since she was a child. Every time she came, she clasped her hands in prayer and offered him a peach. She said that when she was young, she met the god once, and until now she always wanted to see him again because she mourned the old god's loneliness. That night Taka had a strange nightmare. In the dream is his lonely past as a child. The next morning, the old man came to find Taka early and said he had seen that monster on the mountain. As the three went deeper into the forest, the cat suddenly warned them and told them to stop because it sensed something approaching. That is the god of darkness, but completely different from the image of the old man. The dark god is really huge with a big head and mouth and moves extremely fast. In the darkness, the three quickly fled. The cat quickly told Taka to use the mirror he brought with him, but before he could act, the dark god grabbed and strangled him. In a moment of life and death, Taka saw the memories of the dark god. Lee knows that before, he was a lonely soul. The first person to talk to him was Reiko with a bright smile. She also challenged the dark god to put her name in the friend book. This makes Taka realize his real name. The cat showed its true form and rushed to rescue him. Taka took the opportunity to chant a spell and free them both in his memories. The old man chose to stay at that temple, even though there was no one left to worship, just because he loved someone who always came to pray and offered him a peach. After recovering, Taka and the cat visited the old man, but that was their last meeting. Mrs. Hannah passed away yesterday from illness, and the old man has no one left to worship and will gradually disappear, but for him it is happiness because perhaps he will be able to go with Hannah. Whether human or demon, it is difficult to face loneliness. Since childhood, Taka has always been shunned because of his strange abilities. While crying, a girl came to comfort the boy and asked, "Did you see those things too?" That was the beginning of the meeting between Taka and the mysterious girl. Returning to the present, Taka was suddenly searched by a male student who came to class. But when he turned back, the boy had disappeared. Ever since he came into possession of the Book of Friends with the power to command the demons named within, Taka has been bothered every night by ghosts who want his name back. Every time he fulfilled their wishes, but in return he was exhausted. Today, the cat also brought home a fraud, causing Taka to struggle all night to catch it and release it from the room. The next morning, while sending people off, Taka was rushed into the house by two strange monsters. They thought they were planning to do something shady to him, but it turned out they came to destroy the monk with a respectful attitude, bowing their heads and crying, begging him to disappear for them. This was the first time a demon came to ask for help. It turns out that on the mountain where they lived, a strange nobleman suddenly appeared. But instead of destroying demons, it seems like he attacks demons just for fun. Taka was very surprised that besides himself, there was another person who had the ability to see souls but was very cruel. But Taka refused to do it. They tried their best to follow and beg Taka in the schoolyard until the children leave and observe their behavior from upstairs. Taka suddenly discovered that a male student was also looking towards them. This person gives Taka a very strange feeling. Because he could not stand the trouble of the two monsters, Taka agreed to follow them to the mountain where they lived. Here, he was attacked by another group of demons because he mistook Taka for the gentleman who attacked him. In a moment of danger, a stream of white light rushed towards them from somewhere, causing the demons to panic. Luckily, the cat was able to save Taka in time. The two decided to chase the light, but when they arrived, there were no more traces left. Obviously, for someone who can also see souls like Taka, this is an extremely strange action. The next morning, while talking in the classroom hallway with his friends, he felt the strange eyes of the mysterious male student he met yesterday. When I asked, I found out that it was Natsume, who had come to class looking for me. Feeling something was wrong, Taka immediately ran after him. He remembered the past, and because he saw ghosts, he was always alone. That day, Taka cried and ran away from home to the park where he and the mysterious girl met. He saw the girl sitting there alone reading a book and decided to tell her the whole story. The girl rubbed her head and asked Taka if she felt lonely. The boy did not answer but asked the girl again. She replied that since you came, I am no longer alone. However, that moment did not last long. A neighbor passing by saw the boy at the park and asked why he was sitting there alone. He fell into despair, collapsed sobbing, and tried to chase her away even though the girl apologized. That day became an unforgettable wound in Taka's heart. After school, he and the cat went up the mountain again and thought that Natsume was the exorcist. Here, they encountered two monsters who came to their house and were attacked. Taka wondered why even seeing a ghost could make someone act like that. Suddenly the cat felt something appear before its eyes. Appearing in front of the two was a giant buffalo-horned monster, wanting Taka to give it back its name. Because he was busy looking for an exorcist, he had to refuse his request. The yokai offers to help Taka to repay the favor. He saved his servant, the frog. The other day I learned that the exorcist was on this mountain. The buffalo monster immediately rushed to find and kill him. Taka was afraid that Natsume would be in danger when facing such a villain, so he used all his strength to chase the giant monster and quickly found a figure in the distance. When he was about to attack, Taka was able to hug that person and order the demon to stop. Only later did Taka discover that the person he had just saved was not Natsume but a high monk, although nearby demons confirmed that it was their attacker. Suddenly the monk asked why Taka was talking alone. It turns out he is Natsume's father. He is not a person with supernatural powers, but simply because his son is sensitive and it is rumored that this area has many demons, so he often goes for walks and exorcises evil spirits. Taka explains to the monk that the demons around here are not bad people. He immediately realized that he was the one who could see them. Natsume's father not only did not discriminate but also thought that Taka and his son were very compatible. These things make the male student realize that whether he is a human or a ghost, there are good and bad sides. No one can endure the loneliness of being alone. Although life with yokai is tiring, sometimes listening to them talk is also very interesting. The next morning, Taka met Natsume again in the hallway. He took the initiative to start a conversation and let Natsume know that he could see souls. He also asked Natsume to keep this a secret for him. Natsume met someone like him for the first time, so he accepted, and they became friends. The next morning, Taka received an appointment to participate in the Brave game from class president Sala. Even though he wanted to refuse because he could see ghosts, with the determined attitude of his classmates, that night Taka and his cat gathered at the abandoned school. The game starts, everyone draws lots and divides into pairs to participate in the challenge. While waiting for his turn, Sada suddenly told Taka about a legend in school that in the past there was a god who incarnated in the form of a boy. He was tricked and imprisoned by a greedy man to get rich. For a long time, that god developed resentment and became possessed by demons. The place where he was detained was later built into the school, but the soul of the evil spirit still seems to linger somewhere. Taka suddenly has a bad feeling, perhaps because his notebook is attracting bad things around him. Taka and a friend began to explore around the school, but while searching, they suddenly saw a long-haired female student standing in front with her back turned. The boy accompanying her asked the girl but received no response. Suddenly the female student turned around and appeared in the darkness with glowing eyes and a strange smile. This scared Taka's friend and accidentally pushed them both down the stairs. When he opened his eyes and woke up, in front of him was the monster, its face obscured. The demon said strange things to Taka, that humans were selfish and had robbed him of his home. When the demon was about to attack him, Sada suddenly cried out, causing the demon to quickly disappear. When her friend arrived, they both discovered that the student had disappeared. Even Sada's companion has disappeared. Suspicious of Taka, Sada directly asked him if he had seen ghosts or not. It turned out that she always saw her classmates acting strangely, like talking to themselves or pouring water on the street. He was actually saving a kappa fish that was dying of thirst. When Sada continuously pressed Taka, not knowing how to answer, suddenly the cat landed directly on his face, causing Sada to lose consciousness. Taka had no choice but to help her get to class, while he tried to find a way to hide. The cat suddenly jumped off Taka's back and transformed into her grandmother's student form and then left to find a way out. After waking up, his friend Sada also returned to the location with him to complete the challenge. As she walked, she said that after previously participating in the Brave game, she discovered that she had lost a precious object, so that night Sada immediately returned here to look for it. At this time, she encountered a strange male student wearing a bucket on his head. That male student helped her find her lost belongings. It is known that he considered himself a dirty person, so he could not directly take the talisman and give it to her and immediately disappeared. Even so, Sada still appreciates that kindness. She often comes to school and wants to thank her. That was also the time she discovered the story of the god being imprisoned and turned into a resentful spirit. Thinks Taka can see souls. Sada wants to ask her friend for help because this is her last chance before the school is destroyed. When the two were worried because no one came back, a white shadow pulled Taka upstairs. It is a cat. It says that the name of the demon Taka encountered is in the Book of Friends, but if you encounter him now, you will be in trouble and want to retreat. But Taka couldn't leave his friends, so he decided to stay to save them. The three intended to head towards the rooftop, where the monsters gathered, but before they could leave, Sada had an unfortunate incident that left Taka with no other choice but to ask the cat to take her to safety. As for me, I went to the rooftop alone. The door opened and he saw his classmates lying around, the evil spirit constantly draining their life force. Taka advises stopping the demon and says that Sada still believes in its good nature. He wanted to return the name to free him, but the spirit of resentment was indifferent and did not need that because he did not need freedom and the name contained that filth. At a critical moment, the cat appeared to relieve Taka, giving him the opportunity to take out the paper named after the evil god. Taka successfully cast a spell to return the demon's name and at the same time saw the memories hidden deep inside. It turned out that he helped Sada because he wanted her to quickly leave the place where he lived, but her determination to meet and thank her moved him. He wanted to touch her but couldn't because he was afraid he would be dirty and wouldn't dare see her. Therefore, that soul always waited for her but never appeared. In the moment he gradually disappeared, Sada was able to run to the rooftop and say thank you to the soul. In the last moments of her life, he slowly stroked her head with his hand,